And may the celebration continue. To the Minister, how will New Zealand's forthcoming report to the United Nations under the Convention on the Elimination of all forms of discrimination against women explain the government's decision to axe the Pay and Employment Equity Unit?
The Honourable Pansy Wong.
Mr. Speaker, the work of the Pay and Employment Equity Unit was discontinued within the Department of Labour in 2009 following completion of reviews in the state sector and development of a full set of resources. The Pay and Employment Equity Toolkits continue to be made available to employers and individuals who request them via the Department of Labour's website. And in 1972, it was the national government that passed the Pay and Equal Pay Act.
Catherine Delahunty.
Why will the report imply there was nothing left for the Pay Equity Unit to do when its findings of gender pay gaps across the public sector clearly show that this wasn't true?
Honourable Pansy Wong.
Mr. Speaker, that's why the Ministry of Women's Affairs for very many years hasn't got a budget increase, got $2 million to tackle the pay and gaps. And we are looking at new ways of tackling it, including including working with industry training organisation for breaking into male-dominated sector, including flexible work practice. But, Mr. Speaker, can I just share with the House the OECD report?
Order. Minister, resume his seat. It seemed to me the Minister answered the question that was asked, and she may wish to share with the House all sorts of things, but this is question time, and this is where questions are asked and answered. Catherine Delahunty.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can the Minister confirm that when Cabinet agreed to axe the unit, they committed to support the implementation of pay equity response plans in the public sector?
Honourable Pansy Wong.
Mr. Speaker, like I say, the resource kit is all there to be used, and all the chief executive have the responsibility to ensure they're following through with all the reviews. And of course, the ministry have the $2 million to tackle the pay gap issue. According to the OECD report published in 2010, New Zealand has the third lowest wage gap out of 26 countries.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker. Point of order, the Honourable Trevor Mallard.
Mr. Speaker, I think the question was commendably short, brief and to the point, and it asked about the implementation of the plans. Nothing which were in place before the Minister took over, or before it was transferred to her department. Nothing that she said referred to the question.
What I'll do, because there was a genuine public interest in this issue, and it is, after all, celebration of Suffrage Day. I'd ask Catherine Delahunty to repeat her question, and I'd ask the House to listen to it carefully.
Can the Minister confirm that when Cabinet agreed to axe the unit, they committed to support the implementation of pay equity response plans in the public sector?
The Honourable Pansy Wong.
Mr. Speaker, when the review completed by the Pay and Equity Unit, all the review and the results and those resource kits developed at that time will be available for all departments to be implemented, and all the chief executives are held to responsible to make sure that's being done.
Point of order, Catherine Delahunty.
I'm still seeking an answer on the issue of the implementation of pay equity response plans.
Order. Everyone listened very carefully to the question. I absolutely accept what the member says is what she asked. It seems the Minister has answered that her interpretation of those plans, that the response plans that the member is referring to, seem to relate to a toolkit of mechanisms available. Now, if that's the Minister's interpretation of what the member's asking, there's not a lot I can do about that as Speaker. We've got to take the Minister's advice that those plans seem to be incorporated in that toolkit of mechanisms. Catherine Delahunty.
I'd like to seek leave to table
If the member could just describe what she's
I'd
seeking.
like to seek to leave to table a minute of the Cabinet Economic Growth and Infrastructure Committee from August 2009, noting Cabinet's decision to support the implementation of response plans.
Leave is sought to table that document. Is there any objection? There is no objection. Catherine Delahunty, supplementary question.
Why is there no reference to progress on pay equity response plans in the draft report to the United Nations when Cabinet has agreed to support them?
The Honourable Pansy Wong.
Mr. Speaker, the CEDAW report consists of a broad-based report card for the 4 years of what New Zealand have done towards the Convention of Elimination, Discrimination against Women. So that would be the best response, because with the 40 pages report, there is a format. We believe we have covered all the topics that we need to report, but Ministry is going through a consultation with the community, with the women organisation. If they found to be omissions, we will be happy to look at it.
Catherine Delahunty.
To the Minister, isn't it misleading for New Zealand's report to the United Nations to refer to the pay equity unit as evidence of progress when its recommendations haven't been implemented and it has been unceremoniously axed?
Honourable Pansy Wong.
Mr. Speaker, in the report we have a range of events to, like I say, comment on the fact that when I quoted the OECD report published in 2010, New Zealand had the third lowest wage gap out of 26 countries. Is something we can be proud of, but the national government is never going to be complacent on behalf of New Zealand women. So that's why Ministry of Women Affairs got $2 million additional to continue to tackle the pay gap, which is 12%, 5% lower than Australia.
Point of order. Point of order, Catherine Delahunty.
I did ask a specific question about how the report refers to the pay equity unit and it being axed. I didn't ask about gender pay equity in general. It was a specific question saying, isn't it misleading to report this to the UN, given that they have axed it?
Order. Well, that may be the member's view in asking the question, but the Minister gave a different view in answering it, because if I recollect the member correctly, said how is it appropriate, or how is it something that the report doesn't cover this particular issue. And the Minister, in answering, said what the report did cover and argued that was the important thing to be covering. Now, when it comes to a matter of opinion, it's a difference of opinion between the member and the Minister, and I can't be the judge between those two positions. Supplementary question, Sue Moroney.
To the Minister, why does her draft report to CEDAW fail to mention her government's decision to scrap pay equity reviews for school support workers and social workers?
The Honourable Pansy Wong.
Mr. Speaker, I was just told by one member why do we mention the unit at all, and the other one have all sorts of range. This is actually not so much my report. It's the government over the last 4 years report compiled from feedback from each government department, and it's only 40 pages. There is only so much we can record in it.
Point of order, the Honourable Trevor Mallard.
Mr. Speaker, again, very specific question about two particular reports and why they weren't mentioned and they weren't addressed.
I hear what the member's saying, but I've got to say in defence of the Minister, far be it from me to judge the quality of the answer, but I think she told the House there wasn't room in the report to include that matter. Now, members can judge for themselves the quality of the answer and the quality of the decision, but it's not for me as Speaker to do that. I believe that is an answer to the question. It's asked why, and that was what the Minister said. There wasn't room in the 40-page report. And that brings to a close questions for oral answer.